I'm going to show you guys some totally awesome tips tonight on how to improve your testosterone levels like you've never had them before, just from this one thing. Let's do this because this is going to help. I just found out a few things. I'm going to give you my notes. Okay, I'm gonna let you get in here and I'll let you talk or whatever and listen. But I want you to see my notes. I want you to see the 3 supplements that I told you are gonna turn this whole fucking frown upside down thing, guys. You don't really need to be depressed about shit. If you can get past this one dumb thing, you're gonna be fine. Get this one dumb thing off your chest, and that is probably the most important one. But what we're gonna do start first. Listen, there's an old saying that how do you keep a man? You stomach full and his balls empty. And that is how you keep a man. By the way, did you want to see the? I don't know if this does it justice, man. It is so shiny. It looks like a mirror. You see a reflection of what's behind it. Dude, I need to do that lock. So we're gonna cook some steak, but we're gonna start off with some beef tallow. And I got fresh beef tallow from the butcher shop. So we're gonna pull some of that and I'm gonna fire it up. Okay, we're gonna do these a little bit like fajitas, really. You would chop up steak and fajitas, but not really. This is We're not taking in any kind of vegetables. But she's starving, so fire it up. And this is what we do. Así no. Cepillar. Oh no. Okay, so this is beef tallow that I got from the butcher shop. And she said, "Do you want it raw or do you want me to process?" I was like, "Fucking put it through there." And it is so fine and it is mush. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what she was talking about, but somehow, some way. So now we've been marinating steaks inside the fridge for over 24 hours now because food prep. So now we have the steaks sitting out. We had them at room temperature, ready to go with herbs and spices in some olive oil. Now, my protein's far up. It's crazy high now. So I haven't eaten this good in months. Just so you guys know, we've been doing this intermittent fasting, and I just got too skinny. I got so skinny that just like I look at my pictures and I'm like, dude, I look like an old man. That ain't happening. I'm gonna look jacked. Stop barking. All right, so we cleaned off the grill. This right here. I'm gonna wipe it down and put some um, of this beef tallow, which feels like it feels like ice cream, like the texture of ice cream, because it's not like soft like butter. You'd think it's not all it's not all like disgusting. But you do need to be careful because it gets very hot very fast, and you need some kind of a system to catch whatever it is that you're cooking into something else so that the fat will drip down into something else. So take like a metal lid or something and let it, you know what I mean, just let it melt. When you got it hot enough, you throw your steaks on there. Was it 5 to 7 minutes per side? But whatever. We're gonna do this. Give this a shot. This is beef tallow. put a lot of it on there because we're putting in 250 grams of very nice picanha steak that has been marinating overnight with some thyme and some Himalayan salt and pepper. So I can see that it's firing up right now. So we got to let this heat. This has got to be, you know what I mean, fired up because this can't be medium cold. You want this to be hot as a motherfucker. So I hope you're watching. Listen, I wish I had my son here to teach him how to cook how I cook because I know his mom knows how to cook good rice. And one of the things that bodybuilders do good is learn how to cook. Because if you don't, you're going to be one of those bodybuilders that eats out all the time. You're going to be a broke bodybuilder because there's no winning until you actually get some money for being sponsored. And then you can go be Jay Cutler and eat out all the time if you want. So I see no value in eating out. I say stay home with your woman, show her what you can do so she can see what you're working with, especially if it's a new relationship and you're not exactly sure. So what I'm doing here is I'm heating up this tallow, this beef tallow. And this is butterish, man. Dude, it is so good with eggs. You will be astonished. Now, everybody had a chance to come down here. Now, just look at this steak right here and watch what happens. Watch this. Ah, damn it. You know what? It's not hot enough. It is not. It is not hot enough. We're going to let that sit for a minute. Dude, this smells so good. This is ridiculous how good. It smells like chimichurri. Like, that is crazy how good that smells. And it's been sitting in the bag all that time. So I don't need the beef tallow anymore. So you put this away. Put your mess away. Look, let me tell y'all something that I learned since I was living in the woods. I got sick in the woods and was living in the woods and had no medical, well, I didn't have medicine and I kind of needed to have some antibiotics. My neighbors were these sort of, very, very of the earth people. And they had a whole like library of herbals that they could pick from anywhere on the farm. They were picking like the flowers off the very tops of the cactus and making food. Just, you know what I mean? I am so humbled by it, the whole thing. Because you know how we are sometimes, so picky about people and shit. Don't matter. These people literally took care of me. I mean, gave me a mattress to sleep on the floor in their kitchen. And my dogs got to sleep, inside. It was freezing as cold. We were sleeping in a cabin, and they invited me, like, that cabin, like maybe you should, stay over here with us. And I was suspicious immediately because you know what I mean. You don't just people here don't help each other. I know passport bros. Listen to this. The only passport bros I know that help each other are kind of the realist guys that don't really need a whole lot of assistance. And you know why? That was weird. See, one of these things to fire, you want these things to be hot as could be. Take all those herbs that you were marinating and throw that right on top. That's straight butter, you guys. And that is so hot. It's actually dangerously hot. So I'm going to take and probably Put something on top of that to create those marks. And I do have the perfect thing for it, and that's a cast iron pan. Where the hell is it? But here's my second theory is that, oh shit. Listen, you got to eat to get big. If you want to get big, like in a good way, you've got to eat every few hours. So it's been working for me. And I'm going to show you guys a little bit how big I got in just a few weeks after doing some very, very, very deep intermittent fasting. So I put 3 supplements on the board just for the dog talks. There are 3 things that if you are an older guy or if you're anti-aging, just think about it. Do this now. Leucine helps iron, convert iron. If you know somebody who's anemic, get them some leucine. This is an amino acid. It's very cheap. B1 if you have insomnia or trendsomnia, some of you guys. K2 for heart health. Listen to this. This is the supplement that comes with D3. K2 and D3 helps your arteries that are helping you. This is all, I'm coming to a conclusion, Ozzy, because this is important that we get these things in order. Because if your chemistry in your body is all screwed up, you're just going to feel a certain way all the time and you're going to be stuck in a cycle. So I'm throwing you a bone here by saying if you go and do this, you'll have like a master reset and you won't feel addicted to what you're watching and what you're doing to yourself because we have replaced poison shit and dopamine and everything else. And that is what sucks these things out of us, gives us insomnia, gives us iron deficiency. When the fuck with young people with iron deficiencies now? And sickle cell. All right. I know there's sickle cell in the communities, but to this extreme heart problems, listen, K2, oh, B1 is like taking Valium. You take it and go lie down, close your eyes, and you're out. K2 helps dissolve the calcium that forms in your arteries, helping you as a juice monkey, perhaps, or an ex-bodybuilder. You used to eat tons of steak like we're going to do tonight. K2 helps dissolve that calcium without it dislodging into your heart and giving you a fucking heart attack at 47 years old. So if you get a hold of those 3 and start eating like I'm about to show you, I'm so glad that Ozzy came up. Listen to this, y'all. This is good, you guys, because this is an epidemic because we've been given 2 traps. We've fallen for it, hook, line, and sinker. If you could just imagine the old days, there were none of these traps for kids. None of these things were free. They were also actually, why would you waste time? You would be so mad if you couldn't do stuff with your friends. Like if you were forced to stay home and watch TV, you would be so pissed off because you wanted to get outside and go with your friends. Go ride bicycles and jump ramps and shit, chase lizards. Get these 3 supplements. Leucine for iron intake. You need this, you guys, if you have sickle cell or you're anemic. B1 for you insomniacs. You have to get a lot of sleep if you're going to get big because you're going to be fucked up. K2 is for your heart health to dissolve that bullshit. All of us have been taking in ungodly amounts of hormones and seed oils in everything we eat. Everything we eat has been poisoned, so you have no idea what levels. Nobody knows. But I have no trust in GMOs, and I know that's what you guys are dealing with right now. So, yeah, you see that? That's the fuck, yeah. Come on, give me some more. Look at this shit. I'm a fucking firefighter. Watch out. Firefighter's house burns the fuck down while cooking steak that looks like that. What's up? That is what's up. Ay, hacemos mucho grasa. That's why I said you need to have something that catches it down here, like a pan, like something that like a little shallow pan that would list. Like if you had like a toaster oven and you know that little aluminum pan down below, you want to use this over and over again for a little while. I know that sounds gross, some of you guys, but listen, some of our grandmas were fucking recycling fat back for weeks, never changed the oil. So let's be 100 if you want to stop lying. See, they don't believe me, and she's germ phobic as a motherfucker. So I don't do nothing that's gonna make her like ick on my shit because my shit's good. Oh, that's muscles, you guys. Broken up fucking after a long, long time of not training. Now I got here is some organic flour that is made with germinated wheat. You want to take the germinated wheat that is like Ezekiel bread. That does not affect. It's not a hard carbohydrate like you and I would see like bread would be, or in this case a tortilla. So I have 3 of these. Each one of these is 25 carbs. So we have 25 carbs per tortilla, and that is actually a good carb. That's a long starch. That's a little bit longer than oatmeal. I'm actually not fucking with no oatmeal. I'm doing just straight bananas and protein shakes, and not a lot. So I'm not like big and put 3 fucking bananas in there because I know how big I can get, but that's like insulin user shit. I ain't doing that. All I'm trying to do is plow down as much food every 3 hours as I can before I got to go to the gym. Because now I have stopped intermittent fasting. I am blowing up. Any carbohydrates I eat, I get this huge veins in my arms and legs. And one thing it's done for me, like immediately, was once you start getting big, people pay attention. People get you get noticed when you start to put on size. People treat you totally different. That is why I'm doing this because I love the effects that you know training every day it has on my body. Be able to walk long distance, be able to ride a bike long distance, to be able to do martial arts way better than a lot of other people. But once you start training and training and training hard and you go hard, it is so much fun, you guys, because I know you guys don't like fighting. I don't want to beat nobody's ass. But imagine if you could, if you got in a ring with me and I suddenly was now dancing around instead of hitting you at like 100%, I'm only hitting at you like a light spar. Kind of like what the hell? Jake Paul and what's his nuts? Diaz. And what happened there, I love this, you guys. This is oh so awesome. So what happened there is Diaz basically was just hitting him at 30%. So he wasn't getting tired. And when he wanted to, he would just, he had all kinds of openings. He could just flatline them whenever he wanted to. It was like playing with his food the whole time. So that's the level of physicality that training all the time does for you because you no longer fear getting hit in the face ever. Amor, tú tomas el delgadito porque tiene menos grasa por allá. Okay? Okay, esa. Ay, ese es muy caliente. Mira. Sí. Now, I like to fry the fat as hard as I can. So it's like a chicharrón. Yeah, let's get it. That one about took my eyebrows off. Ta-da! I'm good like that. See, chicharrón flama. Okay, what's up with this shit? I'm just gonna leave it there for a second. Let it cook like that on the side. In that beef tallow, you guys, let it cook. That is amazing. That's in beef tallow. So I'm gonna shut this off. Hopefully it'll probably flare up one more time. I'm okay with that. And off we go into the wild blue yonder. Down we dive into the sun. Down we roar, spouting out flames from under. Off with one hell of a roar. We're gonna go have dinner now, you guys. I wanted you to see this because we're gonna come back. We're gonna talk about why it's important to eat this kind of food that is so absent of the things that causes the compulsion to do what we've been talking about, and that is looking at corn and feeling the need to fill a void that doesn't exist. So you need to give yourself food, but you need to detox yourself from the presence of evil. And if you take in a spirit, as in something that you drink, and it causes you some kind of behavior, you're going to understand there's a connection there. Because the word spirit is a real thing. And if you look on the bottle, it might say some sort of spirits. That's a real thing, you guys. And then some of you are taking these lower spirits in, and it's causing you to have lower spirit results. And you get around other people who have these lower spirits too. We look at them all the time when we look at corn. We know who these people are. We've seen them, 100,000, 100,000 subscribers on their whatever channel. And they're even on some of the regular channels too, like YouTube. And they basically get people to go to their lonely fans pages and whatever. We all know this is all about making money, and it's also filling the void of the hardship of men. They have found a way to monetize that which they reject in us. You follow what I just said? They found a way to monetize something that they do not want to do with us, but they want the money that comes from us while we perform this act of sadness on ourselves. Like standing in line to the fucking Krispy Kreme. Unless the Krispy Kreme is open, they're giving out those fucking free samples because that is some good ass shit right there, guys. I ain't gonna trip. So, oh, this is crazy. I'm just taking a steak knife and pressing it on the top of this steak, and I'm able to cut it. This is not a fancy knife. It's so soft. Look at that. Look at that. I cut it. I put it in through that beef towel. Look at this. You see this? You need that fat, guys. The only thing you don't want is the bad carbs because listen, let's say you get 10 tacos. Sometimes tacos have 2 tortillas. You want all 10, but you don't need all tortillas on each one. Those carbs are going to act up in some of you guys in a form of a thing that's called folic acid. Folic acid is an amino acid that some men, which start off as boys, cannot metabolize. People with ADHD, people with spectrum autism cannot metabolize folic acid. And things like white bread, pastas, and things that are all in the American diet are all dosed, and I say dose as in medical, with a dose that gives boys, when they eat a bowl of cereal in the morning, when they go off to school, they're good to go for about an hour. And then they are suddenly not able to focus and they're ready to crash out because they're so bored. That's the reaction from a kid that doesn't metabolize folic acid. Now they have monopolized that because boys can't pay attention. But when you put them in front of a PlayStation, the most autistic kid in the world will focus on playing PlayStation, will they not? That's why they started making them downloadable games. That's when they started making it And back in the day when you were getting them in the mail and stuff. Now it's downloadable. So they gave us video games 24/7 and free corn all the time to distract us, poison our minds, to put us into a cycle of loss that literally turns everything we touch into rust. And it's also an example of how much discipline we all lack as people. Because the food we've been given it has a poison in it. It's called folic acid. It's poison to boys who can't metabolize it, and that's boys who have autism, who are on the spectrum of any way. And a lot of these inflammation problems that men have that are getting fat, it's because of these seed oils in the foods. So I'm going to give you guys a challenge. I'm not inviting nobody down, but I'll just do this. Since I already have guys here and they're already on a diet, I'll tell you what the diet is. You can emulate it, you can copy it, do whatever you want. I'm going to put corta eso para así. En solo tu mano. So I cooked that steak and I got those Ezekiel tortillas. What's up? That is super, super, super soft steak. I'm cutting them into little pieces because I honestly do not like it when people eat when they're on a podcast. It's ridiculous. See? Okay, I did not realize I did not drop the link in the chat. But I got to do this. So give me 1 second. I'm going to drop the link in the chat. So invite, copy. You know what's really strange about StreamYard is that if someone invites me, I can go in and out of the chat. But if I go on my own StreamYard, I can't go in and out of the chat. There's no option to do so. I have the private chat. I'm gonna post a comment though, and that'll be the StreamYard link. That's the StreamYard link. You click on that and hold on 1 second. I'm gonna mic down so you don't hear me eating this steak as fast as I can. Fellas, this is the most delicious steak. We're spoiled. You guys are gonna remember me one day. I hope you do. Candela, is there somebody outside fucking around? Hmm? Is there somebody outside? No? She knows when there's bums outside, like fucking around. Now, the link is in the chat right there. I'm just gonna run it. We're talking about quitting corn for good. Mm-mm. We're talking about quitting corn and anything that has to do that allows us to. We give the devil place in our house. Hey, oh, the bums have no boundaries. Now, if you didn't catch my message yesterday, if you're fat, I want you to go tomorrow to the closest supplement store and buy this stuff here. It's called berberine. Berberine basically helps people who are insulin resistant control their blood sugar so they don't remain fat. That's the problem. Insulin resistance. Take that. Insulin resistance problem solved. Hold up. It is a burden to eat this steak. It's so delicious. But you fellas know what's up. When I got an opportunity to go have a piece of steak, I'm going to have it. I have my meal prep steak in the fridge, and each one of them has its own bag, has its own different sazon. You can use any salsa you want. Don't have calories, don't have fat, no carbs. Any kind of hot sauce you can make yourself, no sugar. I know it grosses me out watching people do fucking podcasts and eating. Like, I can't even watch myself. I'm that bad. Uh oh. I might have to go upstairs. Come on, you. What is it? What is that? I don't see shit. No. What's a dog? Okay, okay. Big deal. Why is that urgent? You don't ring the alarm unless there's a. Never mind. All right, so we had the three things on the board right here, and I don't know if you got a chance to look at it. But the three supplements that you need in your life in order to control, get with this, excessive, obsessive compulsive disorder. Obsessive compulsive disorder cause dudes who were not compulsive before to become suddenly compulsive. Now, what does compulsory mean? Compulsory means obligated when called upon. Now, only thing I could think of in the world that is unseen to the human eye that actually has an effect on human beings outside of their world, and that is the existence and the reality of demons. There are so many deep causes and concerns about why we should be watching our kids and taking care of shit in the schools, but instead we're letting real demonic spirits to literally take our rights away and shut us down as parents. And that's the truth. They killed fucking fathers, you know what I mean? That had like a warrant, FBI warrant for some shit. But I don't know the rest of the story. But Heart, you got to get on this K2 stuff, guys. The K2 comes complete with D2. a K2, D3. And the real anti-aging dose for D3 is like 40,000 IUs, but these capsules only come in like 4,000. That means you'd have to take 10 a day. That's ridiculous. Stick with what I'm telling you because these things work synergistically to reset parts of the brain that are centered on, guess what? Obsession. And if you're a guy who is so thirsty for chicks, you have no choice but to go and visit them and spend way too much time and try and be cute and be your fucking corny self, but they always shut you down in the end because you go from this position of being pumped up because she doesn't know nothing about you, you're mysterious, and then you start talking, and then your value goes down as you explain all the reasons why you are the way you are. So you take all the fucking mystery out of it. Just God. Emotional guys that were without a father growing up probably would benefit tremendously from doing jujitsu and from doing Muay Thai kickboxing. We always talk about going to Thailand and like living in Thailand as a passport, bro. And it's so cheap and the food's great and the girls are pretty. But no one's talking about the greatest fucking sport in the country, and that's Muay Thai kickboxing. It is so much fun. There's so much involved. There is so much you could watch. There's so many places you could go. So many places that accept foreigners to watch and see guys just unbelievably skilled, just literally smack each other in the face with their toes and trip each other like they're sweeping, dirt into a dustpan. That's how easy it is for these guys. It is incredible. So if you could get out of the environment you're in that rejects you on the regular and put you into and you transplant yourself. I know some of you fellas lived on a farm or worked on a farm. I did. And I tell you this is that if the soil sucks, like it drains too fast or whatever, doesn't stick around and it accumulates into somewhere else, and you go to plant plants, the water's going to run over the top of these plants and you're not going to have the coverage of water that you need for them to grow. So you'll get these wild cards fucking every once in a while. It's like a mummy that comes out of the grave. So you got to get with you guys. If you have a skill, if you have a trade, I would really recommend you got your passport. You don't need to buy tools until you get here because they're all over the place. I suggest that me and a few other bros going to set up an air system that basically is just airlines to air tools. We're not going to have anything that is combustible outside of our generators, which is going to use a shit ton of diesel anyway. So I have a plan B as far as like our smaller pumps, our water pumps is just 1-inch lines. I don't believe it's necessary to have 1,500 liters per minute pumps when we don't have 1,500 liters per minute of water in the reservoir. So why don't we scale back, make the vehicles smaller, learn how to suffocate the shit easier, and be done with it, and change the way we make money as firefighters so we're not sitting at home, beating our meat on our Kelly days, not having anything to do. On the contrary, all we do is automate everything we do that's dangerous using robots. I made a fucking robot in the woods in Mexico with no tools. That's fucking, isn't that great? But my claim to fame is that I was able to rid myself of knowing that my browser history is cool. I know my browser history is cool, and no one can accuse me of anything outside of that. She can't accuse me of nothing. She doesn't want to accuse me of anything. Because I have never in my times wanted to so bad is that when we were in Kuwait, but we knew we couldn't because there were no like underground like corn shops or anything. But people did send, you know, episodes of Friends to us. And in between episodes of Friends, instead of having a commercial, they had some corn in there. They slipped it in. These are VHS tapes, guys. They were these square things, these rectangle things that we used to look at. So yeah, that was for the days. The reason why we need to get rid of the things that poison us, man, because we are basically being micro poisoned every day. Micro poison with the foods we eat, wiping your butt, having an air freshener that's the color black. Black ice has a chemical in it that makes your penis smaller. Old professors down here, and I got a little bird told me that Anavar makes a man's wee wee bigger. I was like, well, that's very interesting. That's the first I heard of it. And then I come to understand that now all these guys from Australia and everything are going crazy for this shit because it does make your wee wee bigger. All right. If I'm not getting any kind of sensor alarm, I'm not going anywhere. But doesn't help that the dogs don't shut up. You know, it's always a fucking great thing when you can free yourself from something that bothers you. If you feel like you're trapped in some kind of a situation and you don't know the way out, the best thing that someone could have done was ask me last night and ask me about, addiction to corn and, and, rubbing one out. And I understand where we are as men, and I understand where we are now as men in this realm that we're disapproved for everything. Not much we could do about that. What you can do about is how you respond to life. All right, so okay, for life, there's no way to reasonably predict what the future is going to be like. These ingredients were all hidden. Yeah, all the ingredients for these formulas were all hidden, scrambled around by Pfizer and Bayer. So that leads me to my next conversation about a time that I met somebody that was capable and powerful enough to basically just pick and choose whatever woman he wanted, any style. The guy, I'm falling asleep, you guys. I gotta get to bed. It's been crazy tonight. Anyway, I hope that this has helped some of you guys, but I'm really crashing and burning tonight. But you should have support groups that support you talking about things that are more beneficial to you and more time consuming than sitting around look at your computer screen and rubbing one out. Instead, you're not going to go back to church. I know that. You're not going to go back to church. Most people are not going back to church because church is corrupted. We have what we're doing right now, which would be about as close to a church as possible, because all we need to do is talk about this, read the word, maybe prayer, something like that, and it's all over with. Well, it is kind of all over with right now because it is time to go to bed. I'm the professor, and I hope you love this. Adios.